Nichra. Batachba le baila b'sholo lo yachsar. V'lasu tov v'lo ra kol yemei chayeha. Pia paska b'chachma v'saras chesed al v'shona. Sofi alichos beisa v'chem atzlus lo sochel. Kamu v'neo v'yashrua baila v'yahalala. Rabos banos asuchoyu v'atolis al kulana. Sheker hachein v'hevel hayofi. Isha yiras adonai hitisalo. Tnula mipriyodeha v'halulua v'shorim ma'aseha. We're here this afternoon, Erev Shabbos, Rosh Chodesh, and Erev Shabbos, to pay our Kavod Achron, a very especially special woman, Beatrice Wieder, Bracha Bas Avram, a blessed memory. It's an end of an era for the family, and then an era, in many ways, for our community. 25 years ago, just a few days from now, will be the yahrzeit from her husband Normie. 25 years, a quarter of a century, that she's remained a widow in Almana. Bea was very devoted to her family. She was a devoted wife, mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, a friend to so many people. On my way here, I was on the phone with Edith Hirsch, and she was telling me how they were best friends for over 80 years. It's a long time. 80 years, best friends. And it's very, very special memories that she had. And I was thinking that if I could just take a few moments, I would sort of divide a couple of remarks I have in terms of looking at Bea in terms of her teamwork, her together with her late husband Normie, and talking about her for a few moments herself. Bea and Normie built a beautiful family together. Mike and Mickey and family, Kenny and Ruth and family, Avery and Jill and family, Jerry and Susan and family, beautiful family of children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. They're active members of Young Israel in terms of minyan, in terms of social life, very sociable in the community. I remember that they were one of the active people in paying off the mortgage at the youth center many, many years ago. Very active people in the community. I was reminded today that at some point during Bea's time, she was actually a mashkicha for a while at David's Gourmet. I'm very proud of that as well, that she played that role in the community. But that, I think, predates me, but I remember hearing about that as well. As an individual, she had many, many friends. She was very sociable. And what I found amazing was that I'd go to visit her. I was actually thinking of going this afternoon. God had other plans to see her before Shabbos. She was always very engaging, very friendly. A little less maybe recently, but always had conversation, always had a smile, always had something interesting to say. And I remember even during the period of time of COVID when I couldn't go visit her, I'd call her on the phone, and she would complain to me that, her children and grandchildren were so great, but they couldn't come to see her. They had to wave at the window, or there was some system driving by to see her because they couldn't come in to see her. And it frustrated her because she was such a sociable, outgoing, friendly person, literally to the very, very end. That's the kind of life she lived as a devoted wife and mother and grandmother, great-grandmother, as a devoted friend to people. Again, 80 years to have a friendship is unbelievable. The Torah tells us that Tameh Yikra. The Torah describes that if a person becomes Tameh, he calls out. So our rabbis, with a little play on words, tell us, Kol haposel b'mumo posel. When you find fault in people, it's usually an indication of your own shortcomings. As the Baal Shem Tov once said, the world is like a mirror. When you look in the mirror and you see negative things, it really is a reflection on yourself. Be always so positive. At least in my experiences, everything she focused on was always very positive. She had a very positive outlook. Some people that I would go visit to get a little elderly, mommy's always in the best mood, always a little kvetch here, a little kvetch there, never complained. Always positive, thankful that I came. Come to visit her in her apartment at Myers. And always very engaging, very, very friendly. She lived a fulfilled life. She was zocha to live to almost close to 100 years. And every day was a meaning, every day was another day of love and devotion. There's a famous, I guess you'd say, zug or thing that the Rebbe of Zusha, one of the great Hasidic rabbis, used to say. He says, after 120, when I meet my maker, I'm not worried they're going to say to me, why aren't you like Moshe Rabbeinu? Or why aren't you like the Baal Shem Tov? Of course, the Rebbe of Zusha would say, Baal Shem Tov, because he was a Hasidic Rebbe. They said, what they're going to say to me is, why weren't you Rav Zusha? Did you reach your potential? Did you use your life in a positive way? Did you become the individual that you could become, whether it be in the study of Torah, whether it be in your menschlichkeit, whether it be in your acts of chesed, and there's so many things. And I think back over known Nubi for 30 years and had the pleasure of knowing Normie for his last 5 years of his life, although he was sick at the end. And she was definitely lived a fulfilled life, a life of accomplishment, a life of devotion, a life of community involvement. She lived a happy life. She did a lot of things in her life. Socially, matter of fact, it was just telling me, I think it was encouraging. Either said we used to go on vacations together. We used to go together on vacations years ago, traveling together and doing all those things. So she had a meaningful life, and she passed it on to her beautiful family. So we hope that we know that she will be a Melitza Yosher. She'll go up to Shemayim, and she will tell the Kadosh Baruch Hu, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now. There are a lot of Jews who are in danger all over, and particularly in the Ukraine. And we need all the schlusim, all the merits we can have. And I think she has a lot of merits, a lot of schlusim, all the good things that she did in her life. She will be a Melitza Yosher for her family, most importantly, for her community, for the Klal Yisrael, for the world in general. That she has a lot of good things on her plate that she takes up into the heavenly court. And like Rav Zusha said, I honestly think she can go up to Shemaim and say, I was Beweder. I did everything I was supposed to do. I lived a fulfilling and meaningful life. And the Rebbe Shalom will be putting her right next to him in the very heavenly place, where he puts all those very heavy, very special Heilig Neshamas. Rabbi Blau, you can say a few words. So who's next in the family?
In Mom's honor at this time, I'll start with a little rhyme. In 3 words of concise phrasing, she was amazing, amazing, amazing. Well, that's enough rhyming for now. Had she been here, she would have continued. Anyhow, I want to thank you all for coming. She really enjoyed being around people, and your presence here, I'm sure, is very meaningful to her. While I'm handing out thanks, I want to acknowledge my Aisha Chayil Nikki for her incredible involvement in every aspect of my mom's care, and even now, she's continuing to be significantly involved in the Shiva arrangements and everything else that's going on. And also our children, Adam and Shayna, and particularly Adam's wife Stephanie was exceptional in her attention and concern, and also want to mention Carly, who's been a terrific help. I'll be brief in my remarks, but I want to invite everybody to come to the Shiva House because there's a lot more we want to share and that we talk about, and we have pictures we can show you, so please stop by. She came from Romania as a very young teenager without knowing the language and not really knowing her father that very well. She married at 19, raised us 4 boys, which was no small challenge, and then went to college. My mom became proficient at many skills, including she was a published poet, an avid reader, excellent seamstress, great cook, and she and my dad were great role models for community involvement. We inherited that from her. She learned to ride a bike when she was 50. She played tennis. She was very competitive at Rummikub. We know about her great sense of humor, and she really enjoyed being with people. In fact, in her 90s, she became a greeter at Myers Apartments. She adored her family. She was a great sister, aunt, mother, grandmother, great-grandmother of 20. And she leaves behind a very impressive legacy. Her upbeat attitude helped her outlive all of her family and many of her friends. Her warm heart beat strongly for almost 100 years, until yesterday when it peacefully rested. Today is Rosh Chodesh Adar Bet, but we are to be joyous and not depressing. Yehei Zichra Baruch, may her wonderful memory be for a blessing. Yeah, Shane, I think.
Yeah. Thank you. All good advice. Nobody wants us to fall in the hole. Just like Sorry. Okay. You go first. There you go. Okay. Collect myself. Are you okay to talk?
Yes. Okay. Like my dad alluded to, at any occasion she had an opportunity, she'd like to share a poem. So, in her honor. How lucky are we to have had Grandma B. She was loving and loud, quick-witted and smart. She cared for each family member with all of her heart. Often wearing her joyful, bright red lipstick smile, to stay connected with family, she always went the extra mile. Though she shared her opinions and never held back, she shared even more soups, cakes, pies, Kit Kats, and latke stacks. Hosting seders and cookouts without breaking a sweat, getting socks from her on Hanukkah was a sure bet. Great memories of Eastway with Grandpa, Sylvia, and Mary. Her pre-Pesach hamburgers were legendary. She was most proud of her family and boasted with glee. No one else had nearly as many visitors as she. How she kept family close is a lesson we hold dear. Thanks to her, we all know a pot hangs on one ear. What an absolute treasure to have had for so long. A matriarch, inspiring, fun, special, and strong.
Oh, she's in I have a tissue for you.
Oh, yes. Okay. You got this.
For sure. Okay. So, thanks everybody for coming. I had too much to say, so I'm keeping it very short. My grandmother had a long and storied life. Everyone here probably has an anecdote that celebrates one of her many, many wonderful qualities. She would be really embarrassed to know how many people gathered to say nice things about her. I'm kidding, she would love it. Grandma B loved people and parties and baking and cooking and playing cards and shooting the breeze. She loved telling jokes, sometimes clean jokes. She loved writing poems and hearing about the adventures of her grandchildren and great-grandchildren. She valued her family above all else. To me, she personified the word matriarch. Grandma B was given nearly 100 years on this earth, and I was lucky enough to have her in my life for almost 50, but it still wasn't enough.
I don't know how smart I am to follow that, but I just had one story that I wanted to tell about Grandma B, and she wasn't even there. I was walking home with Grandpa Norman from Shul one time, and he pointed out a house to me. And he said, you know, we almost bought this house. And I said, well, why didn't you? He looked at me and he said, this backyard isn't nearly big enough for one of your grandmother's barbecues. So that's how I think of Grandma B, as always loving and warm and wanting to host. And one of the saddest things about today is that we're all here and she's not. But she's with us in spirit, and I'm going to miss her forever.
So let's get together to Kriya.
The four sons, please, if you want to stop.
What did I do with that razor he just gave me?
Don't let it open, Randall.
I'm slipping in my old age. I put it in one of my pockets. Oh, here we go. Okay. Okay, so tell me what.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get too close. Pull it down. Pull this shirt. Did you need it or anything like that? Here. Give it a good pull down.
Oh,
Here. You decide, you know? You decide you want to pick up a button here. Good idea. What do I want to do?
Stop talking about it. Let's do the job.
Here? Got it?
That's it. Rabbi, you gonna want to lower?
No problem, Can I help?
Yeah.
Turn her around. Somebody want to come?
Wait.
No, we're not doing anything yet. Don't worry.
Yeah, nice.
This is how it needs to be.
Aaron.
Alright, just hold on. Do not let go.
Go ahead, just pull, I just got it tucked, there you go. A little
Okay,
bit
just
underneath the
tuck,
board.
fuck.
Go ahead, yep,
Okay, but hold on to it.
yep.
Do not let go. Hold on tight. Okay, and then once you lift
So-
up,
Yep, I'm gonna slide that right up. Whenever you lift up, yep.
Bobby, wrap it around your wrist.
Just the weight.
slow,
Nice and easy.
together.
You got it. I want to keep it right in the center of the ball cap.
Right in the center.
Alright. Perfect. Wait, a little bit.
There you go. Okay.
Want to drop yours? Sure, yep.
Oh, they want some burden before the cover goes under.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're gonna let him put the cover
All
on.
right, we're gonna put the cover on.
Yeah.
This shovel's broken.
Which one?
The one I'm using.
What's broken about it?
Those wood is sticking out.
Oh. Well, fix it.
It's better I use this more.
So.
There's one more shovel over there. Can you bring that over?
No, I'm fine.
No, you're not.
I just grabbed the metal. It's not a huh? I pick it up by the metal. Huh? You just want me to push this in? Yeah.
Yeah, I saw her.
What's his uncle? Mike?
Yeah.
He's slipping. And
You know, John wasn't involved.
he's there. He knows all the politics of Cleveland. It's a ranch. It's a new ranch. It's by Deborah
Yes.
and House.
Wonderful.
Right in there.
Yeah. You're doing great at this.
You know where they eat?
As usual.
I know because we go down there and we get the right.
Huh?
Not my best. Good. Tuck her in. Tuck, tuck, tuck.
You're still exceeding all expectations.
That's my baseline, man. Do you remember her at Bobby's funeral? Sitting in the seat right here going, right there.
I stepped out.
Not bad.
You gotta be the rebounder. You gotta be the
Well,
back.
obviously, I have wasted a shovel here, but I'm doing my best to help.
No, you're the back
Do
one.
you do windows too?
Rabbi, cleaning is my therapy.
It's okay. My hands were clean up at the end, so now I feel like I've done something. Huh?
Let's try to make a little mound in the middle.
Just trying to keep it all evened out.
Great.
You want me to mount it in the middle?
Yeah, mound just like a little, keep it down in the middle and a little more in the top.
In the middle.
I love the glitter.
Mound. You let me know when it's properly mounded.
Yeah, so a little more right here, top here. You're doing a great job. Don't give it your day job, though.
Don't get. Well, no. My day job is half the people here.
Bejeweled us. Huh? That she bejeweled us. It's always there.
There?
No, right here, right up here.
You want here?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Coming up.
That is a stone. We're bejeweling her so she has something pretty to look at. So there's a bunch of Grandma's hair is not dirt.
I have stones.
You want more there?
Right over here, right in the front.
More than right in the front. We're in the home stretch.
Definitely. Bottom of the knife. 2 hours.
As long as we don't have to land Izzy to make a free
If I could have the 4 sons for cottage, please. 4 sons.
One song first. Mizmor David, Adonai Yahweh Alecha, Yishkom Harkachecha, Halek Kamim V'Ol Tzedek, Zover Emes V'Zovo, Lo Roga, Lo Shona, Lo Oslo, Lo Re'eu, Lo Ave, Kerfon, Asal, Krovo, Nivza Be'enav Nimas, Des Yirei Adonai Yechabed, Nishba Lo Harav Lo Yomir, Chastol Lo Nasam Meneshech, Lo Shochad Lo Nafilo Lakach, Lo Te'ele, Lo Yimaz Lo Olam. We're going to say the regular Kaddish since it's Rosh Chodesh and also Friday afternoon, so it's the regular, not the longer one too.
Just standard mourner's cottage?
Standard morning Kaddish, right? Okay.
Leila mikol birvasav shirosa, tishkuvasav namnasa, daviran bi'alma v'imru amen.
Amen.
Yehi shlomo rabba mishmaya, v'chaim oleinu v'akol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Amen.
V'aseh shalom v'imruah, v'yaseh shalom aleinu v'akol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Amen.
So I can tell everyone just to make the 2 lines so we can the mourners go through. It's the first time in the morning. The family will be sitting at Mike and Mickey Wieder's house. The address is 24460. Is it right?
Yes,
60.
Greenwich Lane.
Greenwich Lane in Beechwood. One more